Sojourn at Delhi. Braj had worked hard to establish his business, and the holiday in Shimla was his first real break for 5 years. When he had married Vinuta 3 years ago, he had only taken 2 days off for the honeymoon. The business was at a critical phase just then. Now, Braj was a successful man. The business was doing well. He could afford to stay in good hotels. He had a competent manager who could be relied on to look after things in his absence. He felt justified in taking a real holiday now. November was not the holiday season in Shimla, of course, but it would be less crowded and all the more pleasant for that. At Vinuta's suggestion, they were going to stay in Delhi for 2 days on the way back home. She wanted to spend some time in the smart shops of the capital. They had not planned to take little Vikram with them. It would be a long journey for an 18-month-old child. But at the last moment, they changed their minds. Vinuta could not bear to leave him behind for 10 days. They did not bother to inform the hotels of this change of plan. An extra bed for Vikram could easily be managed. Shimla was invigorating. On their last morning, it snowed, the first snow of the winter. A breathtaking carpet of snow lay unbroken all the way to the Himalayan peaks. They came down to Kalka on the little hill train and caught the connecting train to Delhi. Their hotel in Delhi was more than 100 years old. It had seen the heydays of the British Raj. Its dining room had once echoed the merry sound of dance music, and high heeled shoes had once glided across its polished floors. It had witnessed the rise of the Congress and the Quit India movement, celebrations of independence, and the bloody aftermath of partition. Its age lent it a certain dignity. The hotel was full, but a room had been reserved for them. The receptionist hoped they would not mind being on the fourth floor. A room on the second floor would be vacant tomorrow if they wished to change rooms. He had handed them the key to room number 411. Would they like to have an extra bed for the small child? The receptionist smiled at the sleepy Vikram. Was there some anxiety in that man's smile? Or did Braj simply imagine it? The lift operator took them up to the fourth floor and wished them an enjoyable stay. The bellboy placed their bags on the luggage stands and accepted his tip unobtrusively. The room attendant made prompt arrangements for a small extra bed to be brought in for young Vikram. They went to bed early that night. The journey had tired them all. Vinutha sank contentedly into her soft bed, thinking of the day's shopping that lay ahead. Braj had received a cable at the reception desk about a big new contract. He tossed restlessly until sleep engulfed him suddenly. Vikram was asleep even before his head touched the pillow. The fourth floor fell silent. In room 411, the muffled sounds of deep breathing mingled with the dull noise of passing traffic from far below. The hotel slept. The night hours passed. Braj turned in his sleep. He dreamed that he was signing a contract in a railway carriage. Snow lay thick on the carriage floor. He felt cold. His blanket was halfway down the bed and he pulled it up about his shoulders. He glanced at his watch. 3 o'clock. At his side, he heard Vinutha's steady breathing. Vikram was sleeping soundly this night. Braj propped himself up on his elbow and looked across the room to his son's bed. A soft glow from the street lights crept through a gap in the curtains. A man was standing beside Vikram's bed. Braj blinked and rubbed his eyes. Was this man a part of his dream, or was he really there? He was awake. Yes, he was definitely awake. And there was a man in the room. Yet, strangely, Braj felt no alarm. The room seemed to be possessed by a wonderful tranquility. Braj found himself looking at the man with curiosity, almost with affection. He was an elderly man, one of the room attendants, presumably. He wore a white turban and a white, smartly pressed uniform. Around his waist was a large, patterned kamarband. A fine white moustache curled up across his cheek. In the soft light, Braj fancied he could see the creases that lined the old man's face. The man's eyes were moist and they glowed with pleasure as he bent over the small bed. He smiled, and in that smile was the delight of an old man before the innocence of a child. In that smile was the love of old age for the delicacy of youth. A serenity radiated from the old man's face and it filled the room. Braj lay motionless, mesmerized. He had not the heart to call out, to interrupt. He had not the strength to break the spell. The old man stretched out his hand as if to bless. Then he turned away, crossed the room. Braj must have fallen asleep, for he remembered no more. At 6:30, Braj stood at the window looking down at the misty Delhi morning. It was the first day of December and winter had begun. Below him, in a small park, Track suited figures took their early morning exercise. A discreet knock sounded at the door. This would be the bed tea he had ordered. All at once he recalled the old man. I must have forgotten to lock the door last night, he thought to himself. How careless of me. I wonder if this will be the same old man bringing the tea. Come in, Bridge called aloud. The door is not locked. The handle turned, but the door remained closed. Brudge felt a sudden chill. The bolt was drawn across the door on the inside. How could the man have got in last night? His heart beat loudly as he pulled back the bolt. Now he was afraid. Will this be the same old man? He wondered again. He opened the door. The young room attendant of the day before stood before him holding a tea tray. Everything was normal. Perhaps it was a dream after all, Bridge thought. They had a leisurely breakfast in the room. At about 10 o'clock, they set out for Connaught Place. Brudge paused at the reception desk to hand over his room keys. The manager was there, checking the register. Sleep well, sir? Yes, thank you. Yes, Brudge replied. Very well, except that is, Brudge felt an unaccustomed shyness. If he had dreamed it all, how ridiculous to tell it to the manager. I hope the room service was up to standard, sir. Yes, oh yes, excellent. There was just one thing, of course. I may have been dreaming. I can't be certain. Sir, do you have an old man on your staff? Long white moustache? A room attendant, I suppose? The manager's face fell. Oh, I do hope he did not disturb you, sir. No, not really. He was a rather kindly old man. But he came into our room in the middle of the night, unless I was dreaming. The manager exchanged a few hurried words with the receptionist. I do apologize, sir, he said, turning back to Brudge. Room number 205 has just fallen vacant. I will arrange for your luggage to be moved, if that all right. When you reserved your room, you did not mention that you would be bringing a small child. And when you arrived yesterday, it seems that we had no other room vacant. If I had known you were coming with a child, I would have reserved a different room for you. I do apologize, sir. I will have your luggage moved just as soon as you wish. But why? Said Bridge. What is wrong with my present room? I don't really know, sir. It's before my time here, and I have never seen the old man myself. In the old days, it seems, the servants' rooms were on the fourth floor. Some years ago, they were renovated and turned into guest rooms. I have heard that the old man lived up there in what is now room 411. You mean? You mean he is a? Yes, sir. But he never does any harm. The story goes that his favorite grandchild, his son, and his daughter-in-law were killed in the riots after the partition, and the old man was heartbroken. No one really knows for certain, but it seems that the old man only appears when a small child is in the room. That is why we usually avoid putting families in that room. Shall I hold room 205 for you, sir? Yes, I suppose so. That night, Braj lay down on a different pillow on a different bed. He lay awake, his eyes open. All thoughts of the big new business contract had gone from his mind. He had not even telephoned to his office. He felt softened somehow. He felt troubled by a vague sense of guilt which he could not explain. A strange sadness filled his breast. The old man had died many years ago. He was not real. And yet, the kindness of the man and his sadness too, were they not real? And would the old man come again tonight to room number 411 to gaze at the lovely child? And would he turn away, disappointed, from the empty bed? Thanks for listening.